Is this influencing me? I gotta take this off. I'm disgusted with myself. I thought I had such an opinion and now it's... I don't want to take it off though. If only she made an Evermore cardigan. Hey guys, it's Nicole. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more Taylor Swift related content. If this whole outfit doesn't tell you how conflicted I am about this whole thing, I don't know what does. I have the Evermore braid and the folklore cardigan. Okay, so this is the age-old question that has been analyzed by lots of different people. The general consensus seems to be that people think that folklore is the better overall album as far as themes and stuff go, and then Evermore has better songs. What does this mean really? So I wrote down some of folklore's strengths. Definitely the teenage love triangle, having 3 songs that go together so well and have caused so much speculation among fans and even casual listeners. My most viewed video is literally titled, "Does Betty Take James Back?" This was a very strong thing that folklore had that Evermore kind of didn't. There was the whole Dorothea, 'tis the damn season sort of subplot, but that just did not have as much interest. There were only 2 songs as opposed to 3, so I gotta give it to folklore that it had that little extra bit of interest, you know, with those love triangle songs. There's also the whole Champagne Problems thing, which Champagne Problems is going to be a fan favorite. There's no doubt about that. However, there was no like response from the girl who rejected the proposal. There was no song to like fill that blank in. That could have made Evermore a little bit more stronger as far as the Easter eggs and digging goes. I love the cohesive film references that are happening in folklore that everyone's obsessed with. So overall, I think the themes of folklore really fit together nicely. There's recurring imagery that's happening. It feels just verbally cohesive. I also think that there's a little bit of psychology at play here, where people immediately equate something that is very black and white to something that is cohesive, because Evermore's album art is in color and kind of that golden brown tone. I think people view the strict black and white of folklore to kind of connect the album to something that is more cohesive. Whether or not it actually is, at least musically, I agree thematically and lyrically. For example, August to me feels very like 90s acoustic pop type of sounds. 7 makes me think of the 60s, like the folk thing. I was definitely getting Joni Mitchell vibes from 7. Mirrorball makes me think of the 70s, like almost kind of ABBA-y. If you look back at my initial folklore reaction from 2020, those 3 songs right after the other, it was like 90s, 60s, 70s, whatever order they're in. I was getting different decades from each one. Epiphany makes me think of like Norwegian choral music. I think Aaron Dessner has also talked about this. Betty is very musically reminiscent of Piano Man. All that harmonica, invisible string makes me think of Irish folk. Peace is almost like thunderstorm jazz. Is that a genre? It is now. Like musically, what is it doing? It's not really that cohesive, and I think people like to say it is, and that doesn't make something bad. Red was my favorite album up until folklore dropped. Sometimes stuff that's very cohesive can also sometimes mean boring, so you know, it depends who's saying whether it's cohesive or not, whether that's a compliment. I think maybe people might be thinking about the usage of piano riffs like in Hoax, Mad Woman, The One, Exile. I could see that, but overall I do think it's lyrical themes that lend to the cohesion. Also, I gotta give it to folklore that folklore is a stronger album title. Albums that don't have title tracks seem to be some of the better album titles for Taylor. 1989 is such a good title for the entire album that 1989 was. Reputation, folklore. What does Evermore even mean in the context of the Evermore track list? I feel like you could maybe swap it out for songs like Gold Rush would have been really cool. Long Story Short. I just kind of see a lot of these as something that maybe would have worked, while folklore undoubtedly has to be the title of folklore. Evermore strength. Okay, each song definitely can stand on its own without having to listen to the whole album all the way through. Evermore songs have shown up on my playlist and they have aged better than songs from folklore that just suddenly show up. I feel like when I want to listen to a folklore song, I have to listen to the entire album, but with Evermore, I don't feel like that. I feel like I could listen to an Evermore song and then move on to either another artist or another Taylor album and it would just flow, I guess. While with folklore, it almost feels like the songs of folklore have to kind of lean on each other to create the whole picture, and then you get the full experience. I'm going to be 100% honest before going into this analysis. I think I prefer Evermore just the slightest bit more because of how easy it is to get back into that world. Folklore feels like such a specific vibe and time. Also, Evermore has higher highs and lower lows, I would say, which is something I individually really appreciate. It's why Red was my favorite album until Folklore and Evermore came around. Marjorie made me cry absolute absolute buckets. Could not breathe, sobbing, no body, no crime made me like laugh, and I was just incredulous about that track. The only thing that can kind of compare on Folklore is the Last Great American Dynasty, but that aha moment doesn't slap like it does with No Body No Crime, and you can really dance to Gold Rush. Like, that beat is so intriguing for that album. Ivy has this Emily Dickinson style lyricism, and it works so well with the unique dark academia aesthetic that people associate with Evermore. She hit it right on the head with Ivy, and that chorus is actual cocaine. So today I'm just going to side by side compare each song from Folklore and Evermore because they both conveniently have 17 tracks when including the bonus tracks, and we'll see if Evermore really is my favorite. We're going to compare overall concepts, verses, choruses, bridges, instrumental sections, chord progressions, and pay attention to cliches and weak rhymes if there are any. We're going to be looking at these songs under a very intense microscope. Considering these are the best songs of her entire career, the bar is very high, so don't get offended. Okay, overall concept. I mean, the one, I feel like the hook is pretty self-explanatory. It would have been fun if you would have been the one. A nostalgic look back on a lost love. Willow is like kind of surrendering to a love. Life was a willow and it bent right to your wind. So this person is the wind who is like bending over her willow and changing all of her plans. It might kind of be like the beginning of a relationship. The more that you say, the less I know. And she just knows she's willing to risk it for this person, even if things aren't completely stable yet because the relationship is very new. I think I might have to give it to Willow because she turns it into this plant metaphor that's very interesting, while the one, you know, that hook of it would have been fun if you would have been the one, not the most original idea. As far as chord progression, they're both actually pretty similar in that I think it's only 2 chords for a little bit in the beginning. Yeah, oh my god, it is. They're very similar in that regard. Okay, maybe it's a tie on that front. Okay, verses, chorus, and bridge. Okay, the film references, you know, the greatest films of all time were never made. You know, the greatest loves of all time are over now. Those are 2 of the most heart-wrenching lyrics. I also like that I thought I saw you at the bus stop. I didn't though, like imagining things that aren't there. Oh my god, but the imagery of Willow, I'm like the water when your ship rolled in that night. Rough on the surface, but you cut through like a knife. Lost in your current like a priceless wine. Wait for the signal and I'll meet you after dark. Show me the places where the others gave you scars. Okay, even me just verbally saying that, I gotta give it to Willow, man. Okay, instrumental sections and melody. Okay, they're both really catchy. They're both easy to sing to, especially the one because it's like da 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 da. Even though it gets a little bit repetitive, I think the Willow melody is a little bit more interesting, and also that guitar, it's very intriguing. I feel like it's a little bit unfair to compare the one to Willow because Willow was the single, and I think Taylor chose it for a reason because it was very interesting sounding. I gotta give that to Willow. Cliches and weak rhymes. Okay, I have to point out that the one rhymes one with fun. It would have been fun if he would have been the one. It's definitely a cliche. There is a very strong lack of cliches in both Folklore and Evermore, which I love. I love when someone says something in a way that no one's ever said before. Why else would you try to write lyrics if it's going to be something that has been done before? Does Willow have any cliches? Wherever you stray, I follow a little bit. The one, okay, back to the one. I'm doing good. I'm on some new shit. Been saying yes instead of no. I hit the ground running each night. Ground running. That's kind of a cliche. Da 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 da. And I hit the ground running. Da 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 da. You know, that one. I guess you never know, never know. And if you wanted me, you should have showed. A little bit cliche. I hate that I'm finding this out just now. I shouldn't be analyzing these like this. It's gonna ruin it for me. I think it goes to Willow. I think Willow's the better opening track. Holy shit, this is gonna be tough. Okay, concept. Okay, Cardigan is obviously part of the teenage love triangle. Being young and knowing that this love is going to get you through life versus this elaborate college student proposal setup with all these details. Your sister splashed out on the bottle, and then the whole bridge. Oh my god, the bridge. Your Midas touch on the Chevy door. She talks about how they lived in this dorm. They have a group of friends that they share. She really builds this exposition for almost this story. I think I have to give it to Champagne Problems. Chord progression and time signature. Okay, based on my cover, I think Champagne Problems was only 4 chords. They might tie. I might get rid of that section if I'm being honest with you. Verses, chorus, and bridge. Cardigan tells such a story and so does Champagne Problems. Shit, god, this is difficult. I have to give it to Champagne Problems because the bridge says all you need to know. How do you beat that? Cardigan's bridge is to kiss in cars and downtown bars was all we needed. You drew stars around my scars, but now I'm bleeding. That's a really good line. Stepping on the last train marked me like a blood stain. Okay, this would definitely be a matter of personal preference, and to me, I appreciate the storytelling of Champagne Problems bridge more, but the chosen allusions, Peter and Wendy, leaving like a father, running like water, that is incredibly smart. This is not to say that Cardigan has a bad bridge at all, but it's like, I think Champagne Problems beats it. Instrumental sections and melody. Okay, I have to give that to Cardigan, maybe. Ah, shit. This is so much harder than I thought it was gonna be. That's really hard. Is that another tie? I'm gonna scream. I would tie it for cliches and weak rhymes too, honestly, because they both maybe have like one. The hook of cardigan is so interesting. Okay, it has to be champagne problems. That bridge is almost like something that doesn't even give champagne problems 1 point. It gives it a few points. And even when it ties on other things, champagne problems still takes the cake. Okay, concept. I have to give it to the last great American dynasty. She wrote about the previous owner of her house. That's crazy. Gold rush is also a really beautiful concept, and she took something that other people have written about and made it her own, but that still doesn't make it as interesting as the last great American dynasty. Okay, verses, chorus, bridge. Guys, Taylor shines when she's telling a story. I feel like gold rush could have had a little bit more storytelling. It's beautiful imagery, eyes like sinking ships on waters. Yeah, gold rush relies mostly on imagery, with the last great American dynasty. I almost said dinosaur. Woodvale. Is that you? The Third Sister album. Coastal towns, padding across your wooden floors. It talks about going to parties with this person. Yeah, it's just like an imagination type of thing, but oh my god, the Standard Oil name. She mentioned St. Louis, Saltbox houses, their wedding, how her husband had like heart problems, her bitch pack friends, Rhode Island, Salvador Dali. This is crazy. It goes to the last great American dynasty. I'm sad because I love Gold Rush. Okay, verses, chorus, bridge. It's also the last great American dynasty, basically for all the reasons that I just said. Instrumental sections and melody. I have to give it to Gold Rush. The catchiness of Gold Rush is completely unbeatable. I think that's why Gold Rush is so beloved, is just because of how it sounds. Cliches and weak rhymes. Rush with flush, that's unique. Quick brush, rose blush, bone crush, very unique. Coastal town wandered round, fades into the gray of my day old tea. Beautiful internal rhyme happening there. There's not a single cliche there. Rhyming gauche with goes on the last great American dynasty. Okay, there are no weak rhymes on either of those. That's very impressive. No cliches. I had a marvelous time, ruining everything. While that's not super specific, it's still very Taylor. Marvelous time. What a marvelous tune. There are no These are both flawless. Okay, the last great American dynasty wins because the concept is stronger. I love Gold Rush. Concept. Okay, exile. It's supposedly about like an exiled man. It's kind of like a metaphor for a relationship though. Film references again. Okay, well, 'Tis the Damn Season is part of like a two-person sort of perspective song duo. 'Tis the Damn Season, and that being written by the person who wrote Christmas Tree Farm. That's funny. Okay, I have to give it to 'Tis the Damn Season. Okay, verses, chorus, and bridge. 'Tis the Damn Season again. It's way more visual. Oh my god, I parked my car right between the Methodist and the school that used to be ours. The holidays linger like bad perfume. Versus like, I can see you standing with his arms around your body, laughing, but the joke's not funny at all. It took you 5 whole minutes to pack us up and leave me with it. Not the most descriptive. God, I have to analyze the shit out of these. Balancing on breaking branches is a beautiful line though. The second verse is stronger than the first verse on Exile. Step right out, there's no amount of crying I can do for you all this time. We always walked a very thin line, you didn't even hear me out. Those are kind of cliche, while the alternative would be sleep in half the day just for old time's sake. I won't ask you to wait if you don't ask me to stay, so I'll go back to LA and the so-called friends who write books about me if I ever make it. I think that's just a little bit stronger. Yeah, I have to give it to 'Tis the Damn Season. Okay, instrumental and melody. I love the call and response sort of bridge dynamic Exile has going on. I might give that to Exile. Yeah, Exile has a lot of variation in melody, while 'Tis the Damn Season can almost get a little bit repetitive with the guitar. Not in a bad way at all. I love both of them and how they sound, but I think Exile's a little bit more dynamic. Cliches and weak rhymes. I think Exile has a little bit. It's just a little bit vague. Not bad by any means or super cliche, but I think I have to give it to 'Tis the Damn Season. Concept. So we all know what My Tears Ricochet is about. I think I just have to go ahead and give it to that because holy shit, she's talking about like her own funeral almost. She's talking about this betrayal as if he like burying her. That's rough. Chord progression and time signature. Okay, this is the where I really wanted to use this little category. Tolerated I think is in like 5/4, which is very unique for contemporary songs. I just have to point that out, how interesting that sounds. Verses, chorus, bridge. Okay, both of the verses seem the second verse of My Tears Ricochet is stronger than either verse and Tolerated. We gather stones never knowing what they'll mean, some to throw, some to make a diamond ring. You know I didn't want to have to haunt you, but what a ghostly scene. You wear the same jewels that I gave you as you bury me. Really sticking to that theme here. If I'm dead to you, why are you at the wake? I have to give it to My Tears Ricochet. I thought I liked Tolerated more. Okay, so the instrumental of Tolerated is much more interesting, I think. Oh shit, the bridge is so good. This is awful. Okay, they might tie on verse, chorus, and bridge. That bridge of Tolerated is nuts. Okay, cliches and weak rhymes. Let's see if we can find any. I think the dynamics of Tolerated just make it a little bit better to me. And that bridge, I have to give it to Tolerated. I have to. It's so good. Concept. Okay, mirrorball being about being a people pleaser, how challenging that can be, and nobody, no crime, a literal imagined true crime story, and how Taylor would navigate that. That's so fun. I understand mirrorballs from personal experience, but like I love that she has such an imagination. I have to give the concept point to nobody, no crime. Versus chorus bridge. Okay, the chorus of mirrorball is better than nobody, no crimes, but the story that nobody, no crime tells is so smart, and it's entirely self-written. I have to give it to nobody, no crime. Instrumental sections and melody. Oh shit, that's a tie. Mirrorball is very ABBA-like and beautiful and so pretty, but nobody, no crime is like this westerny country sound. It has harmonica, cliches, and weak rhymes. Okay, the entire chorus of nobody, no crime is a little weak, I gotta say, so I give that to mirrorball. God, the winner is barely nobody, no crime. Okay, nobody, no crime. Some people are gonna be really mad at me about that, but I'm a huge nobody, no crime fan. Happiness is my least favorite song on Evermore, just because of the instrumentals. So already I can just tell you, 7, the folk execution that is just amazing on 7, instrumental and melody is beautiful. Okay, concept. Happiness is like a divorce, and 7 is like remembering your childhood friend, even if you can't even remember what they look like anymore or what they would look like today. A lot of people can relate to that, I think. I think 7's concept is stronger. Okay, versus chorus and bridge. Okay, happiness. Honey, when I'm above the trees, I see it for what it is. Showed you all my hiding spots. I was dancing when the music stops. There's also lots of strong Gatsby references though that are really beautiful. And the bridge, 7 years in heaven. Whoa, she references 7. That's so funny. And it's track set. Whoa, okay. Good alliteration every goddamn night now. I get fake niceties. But then 7 has such a beautiful sort of thing with, I've been meaning to tell you, I think your house is haunted. Your dad is always mad, and that must be why. You won't have to cry or hide in the closet. That could mean like having a friend who's LGBTQ and from a young age, like wanting to make sure they are going to be taken care of. That could mean so much to so many people. Okay, 7 is a little bit more concise. It gets its point across in less words. I think I have to give it to that one. Shit. But happiness has such good Gatsby references, but that does not make a better song. Like that's like, it's really smart references, but like 7 has stuff that's very original. It could be referenced one day in another song by someone else, but I don't think either of them really have any cliches. Yeah, okay, happiness could just be a little bit more concise. Say more in less words, like 7 does. Okay, the chorus maybe is a little bit cliche. There'll be happiness after you, but there was happiness because of you. Both of these things can be true. There is happiness. You and true, one of the most standard rhymes of all time. Shit, is happiness not getting a single point? Okay, 7's the winner. Oh, this is hard. These are both in their own little storylines within the album. I think August has a stronger concept just because all of the ways it ties into Betty and Cardigan. It's a little more intriguing. Yeah, and I think we see that especially with the lack of speculation with Dorothea. Okay, versus chorus bridge. I guess I'll never know you'll go on with the show. It's never too late to come back to my side. The stars in your eyes shine brighter in Tupelo. I can see us lost in the memory. August slipped away into a moment in time because it was never mine. August sipped away like a bottle of wine. That's very clever. Oh, the bridge. Yeah, August has it. Are you kidding? Instrumental sections and melody. Okay, if we're not going to talk about the break where it's like, remember when I pulled up and said get in the car and then canceled my play. Okay, August beats it there too. Okay, cliches and weak rhymes. Are there any in either of them? I don't think either of them really have many, if any. Even something as simple as living for the hope of it all is now such a recognizable line from this song that I wouldn't call it a cliche. Yeah, neither of them do. Okay, it goes to August then. Okay, the This Is Me Trying concept is amazing because of how many different situations it can apply to. The like burnt out gifted kid sort of scenario, addiction, depression, any sort of mental illness, someone being burnt out in general, Coney Island, a love where two people kind of have taken each other for granted and they compare it to the desolate Coney Island in the winter. Beautiful imagery, but This Is Me Trying is stronger because it's more applicable. Okay, versus chorus and bridge. Okay, This Is Me Trying is very relatable, but Coney Island has such a storyline, and the bridge I think is a hint at the re-recording order, and it's like a hark back to all of her relationships that she's written about. Red, 1989, Speak Now. It's very well thought out. We were like the mall before the internet. It was the one place to be. Oh god, but This Is Me Trying has the best line of her entire career. They told me all of my cages were mental, so I got wasted like all my potential. I was so ahead of the curve became a sphere. I think that's the best verse of her life. I have to give it to Coney Island. Okay, instrumentals and melodies. Chorus of Coney Island is so catchy. Coney Island has a little more longevity. I gave it to Coney Island. I can't. Okay, cliches and weak rhymes. Adjusting with rusting. That's so cool. The chorus of This Is Me Trying could be a little bit weak, I guess. The chorus of Coney Island is very interesting. I give it to Coney Island. That's the better song. So many people are not going to agree with that. Okay, concept, illicit affairs, obviously an illicit affair. Ivy cheating on your, wait, these are about the same thing. Well, that's kind of a tie. As far as concept goes, that's so funny. Okay, verses, chorus, and bridge. Ivy is written in the style of Emily Dickinson for sure, but with illicit affairs, you like need a dictionary. It's very intellectual. I think because illicit affairs is more original, I guess with Ivy, it's like she's using the style of Emily Dickinson. And with illicit affairs, it's like she took a dictionary and decided she was gonna make her own little way of speaking. I think I have to give it to illicit affairs. Instrumental sections and melody. Okay, Ivy has the most beautiful guitar. It doesn't vary much though. Illicit affairs has the most haunting vocal ooh type of thing that just like haunts my dreams. I have to give it to illicit affairs. Cliches and weak rhymes. Neither. No, none of them. Okay, so illicit affairs wins. Oh my god, I'm afraid. What if I like more folklore songs? Concept, invisible string, her love, Joe, and the concept of fate, I guess. Cowboy like me, being a bandit. Versus chorus and bridge. Okay, invisible string is really beautiful because it uses that Irish green was the color of the grass, teal was the color of your shirts, bad was the blood of the song in the cab, bold was the waitress, cold was the steel, gold was the color of the leaves. Very beautiful and together, I guess. Cowboy like me has alliteration, dancing is a dangerous game. This is gonna be one of those things now I know I'm never gonna love again. That's a little bit cliche. I'm waiting by the phone like I'm sitting in an airport bar. Beautiful imagery. I love you're a cowboy like me, perched in the dark. She could have said so many other verbs. She chose perched. I have to give it to invisible strings. It's more interesting. Instrumental sections and melody. Okay, cowboy like me is like that Western luxury feel, and invisible string is like Irish. Some people think cowboy like me maybe drags a little bit though. I could see it. It had to grow on me. Invisible string I liked right off the bat, so it is easier to get into. Okay, cliches and weak rhymes. Cowboy like me has a little bit. Very few, but a little bit. Okay, I have to give it to invisible string. I'm so nervous I'm gonna like folklore more now. My entire personality is gonna be just like wrecked. Okay, Mad Woman, sexism. And long story shorts being kind of like a Evermore version of Getaway Car. I think Mad Woman, it's scathing. Versus chorus and bridge. Mad Woman makes me think of My Tears Ricochet a little bit. Long story short is interesting because it's like alley type of thing. I tried to pick my battles till the battle picked me. Like I brought a knife to a gunfight. I was in the alley surrounded on all sides. The knife cuts both ways. If the shoe fits, walk in it till your high heels break. Spin on a cliche phrase, so it's no longer cliche. Pushed from the precipice. Beautiful. And long story short mentions evermore. Okay, that gets a point. Instrumental sections. Ooh, Mad Woman has an amazing drum beat at the end that almost like kind of accelerates. It's dark and it feels like fire. Cliches, weak rhymes. Every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy. When you say I seem angry, I get more angry. A little bit, but not too much. Neither. Okay, let's see which one has more points. Okay, so it is Mad Woman, just by one. Concept. Okay, Epiphany being her grandfather's experience in war that he had never talked about to her, but she kind of made her own ideas. Marjorie honoring her grandmother. Epiphany's concept is a little stronger because it applies to so many people. Also the like healthcare workers going on. Yeah, that was honestly just such a culturally needed sort of thing, and thanks for healthcare workers. Versus chorus and bridge. Okay, the bridge of Marjorie hands down is just gonna beat Epiphany. The way it made me sob buckets. Instrumental sections and melody. I have to give it to Marjorie because Epiphany drags a little bit for me, but also Epiphany includes that little heart monitor sound. You're alive in my head could maybe be one, but the way she does it with like you're alive in my head because I hear you like singing to me, she elaborates on it further in the song and it like cancels out. The entire bridge makes me want to scream. Yeah, neither of them have any cliches, but it is Marjorie just because the bridge and the instrumental. Concept. Betty is part of the teenage love triangle. Apology, male apology sort of vibes. Closure is like, I don't need your closure to somebody who wronged her. Betty's stronger concept. Okay, let's look at the lyrics. I got your letter, I'm doing better. It cut deep to know you, right to the bone. I don't need your closure. I'm fine with my spite and my tears and my beers and my candles. That's a good one. More sea imagery for Evermore. Yeah, it is cohesive. I'm a liar. Evermore's actually very cohesive. As far as thematically and lyrically. Okay, Betty tells such an interesting story so well. I was walking home on broken cobblestones. The bridge is like such a climax. I give it to Betty. Instrumental sections and melody. Okay, we all are uncomfortable about the percussion of Closure, so I'm going to give that to Betty because that harmonica is beautiful. Everyone immediately really liked how it sounded. Cliches and weak rhymes. They both have a few weaknesses. Will you have me? Will you love me? There's that for Betty. I like rhyming she says with Inez. And then Closure has like I got your letter, I'm doing better. It cut deep to know ya. Kind of Bad Blood-ish, but better. Much better. Pretty even. I feel like Closure is a little bit weaker lyrically. Okay, Betty takes the cake. These are very similar concepts. Not being able to give someone peace and then kind of not finding peace for yourself. Is it a tie? I think it's a tie. Versus chorus and bridge. Never had the courage of my convictions. I'm a fire, I'll keep your brittle heart warm if your cascade ocean wave blues come. I think the lyrics of peace are a little bit stronger. Instrumental sections and melody. That's Evermore because that bridge is insane. The way it like speeds up, all that interesting piano going on. Okay, so now to find which one has any cliches or weak rhymes. Shit, it's a tie. Okay, let's bring back that chord progression and time signature category. Does the time signature change? If it does, it's gonna be Evermore. Evermore musically is so interesting. It's a freaking tie, but I pick Evermore. But just know it's kind of a tie because Evermore is musically so interesting, but Peace has some very, what's the word, succinct lyrics. Concept, toxic relationship with hoax. It's time to go. Well, it says that there, it's time to go. I feel like it's time to go is pretty self-explanatory. It's time to go. Knowing when to leave a situation. Hoax should meet it's time to go because that girl does not need to be going through that shit. It's time to go has more interesting concept when just looking at the concept, but when lyrics come into play, I think hoax is stronger. My only one, my smoking gun, my eclipsed sun. Stood on the cliffside screaming, give me a reason. The visuals. Yeah, the bridge of hoax is so much stronger than the bridge of it's time to go. Sometimes giving up is the strong thing, sometimes to run is the brave thing, sometimes walking out is the one thing. Instrumental and melody. Hoax has the most beautiful piano, the most beautiful head voice. Taylor's singing in Stood on the Cliffside Screaming, give me a reason. The light vocal tone is incredible. Cliches and weak rhymes. Oh, we just saw that It's Time to Go does have some, so Hoax is the winner here. Okay, the lakes, amazing concept shit. Romanticism, this like escapism, beautiful nature references. Right Where You Left Me is like the story of the girl who could never move on from her breakup. Very beautiful fictional stuff, but I love that the lakes takes inspiration from like all those poets from the Lakes District. I think that's amazing to talk about that area as well as kind of write like them. It's really creative. Okay, the lakes takes that. Versus chorus and bridge. The only weak part of Right Where You Left Me is the chorus, or post-chorus, I guess. Right Where You Left Me no choice but to stay here forever. The Lakes says so much in so few words. Oh my god. I never thought about how short the actual words are. Okay, The Lakes wins that section. Instrumental and melody. I have to give that to Right Where You Left Me because it's so catchy and that guitar is beautiful. Cliches and weak rhymes. The Lakes has one over on Right Where You Left Me because of that. You left me no choice but to stay here forever. Okay, The Lakes wins. Oh shit. I'm afraid. Okay, now we're gonna count up. I'm scared. Okay, Willow, 1 for Evermore, 2 for Evermore. The name Season, Tolerate It, No Body, No Crime, Coney Island, Marjorie, Evermore. 8 for Evermore. How many for Folklore? The Last Great American Dynasty, 7, August, Illicit Affairs, Invisible String, Mad Woman, Betty, Hoax, The Lakes, 9, What? No, hang on, let me recount. Shit. Oh my god. Guys, am I insane? No. It's only because of Illicit Affairs and Ivy, right? And Gold Rush and The Last Great American Dynasty. I have to go have a crisis. Shit, I'm shocked. Okay. In short, I don't know how to conclude this video. Are they truly on the same level? Maybe it's just a mood thing. Is this influencing me? I gotta take this off. I'm disgusted with myself. I thought I had such an opinion and now it's... I don't want to take it off though. If only she made an Evermore cardigan, maybe then I would have worn it and then I would have stuck with my previous opinion. So in short, I guess Folklore does have better songs than we think individually, if you really look at them and think about your first impression of them. Also, Evermore is more thematically cohesive than I thought. All those ship and water references remind me of all the film references that Folklore has. I'm still not okay right now though. I guess this is the end. Which one is your favorite? I'd love to know down in the comments, or you can post like a track comparison where you pick one, just like I did just now, where like one triumphs over the other. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. If you want to follow me on my Instagram, it is right here, and if you want to follow me on my TikTok, that is right here. I will see you all next week for a video diving into the Taylor Swift versus Big Machine feud, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye guys. Island in the sun where the palm trees